Okay, I'll go ahead and walk you through the steps for making the wheel and the cow catcher. They both look nightmarish on there, but they're actually pretty easy. I'll start on a new file just because it's where I'm at on here. First thing you want to do is create a sketch. And again, the plane doesn't really matter. If you look carefully at the wheel plan, I recommend, if it's possible, to print a copy, do it, and then look at it at a slight angle, because you realize very quickly at the top of the plans for the wheel, it's more or less a rectangle is what you start with. So we'll go ahead and make a rectangle that is 1 inch by 1/4 inch. 0.25, tab 1. And we'll use my pan command to get a little better view of it and zoom in. At one end, we're going to place a circle. There. That's all set, and we go ahead and trim away the 2 extra lines that we now have. At the other end, we're going to place a construction line 0.14 inches from the end. Where we get this number is if you look down at the bottom, you'll see the center hole of the wheel has a diameter of 0.28 inches. So we have to split that in half. So turn on construction line. And from here, we'll go 0.14. What that mark is, we'll go ahead and make a line straight up. And I'm going to trim away these 2 lines right here. The line at the end is going to change from a real line to a construction line, like that. Now inboard from each end, we need to move in a 1/4 inch. Yep, a 1/4 inch from each end for where our next set of lines start. We'll again use construction line for this. So from here, 0.25, and that construction line from here, that's also 0.25. Those lines then, we're going to make a line going halfway down the shape or 1/8 of an inch, a real line. Turned off construction line for that purpose. Down here, 5, and then a line to connect those 2. Okay, I'm going to hit escape. I'm also going to get rid of a lot of dimensions on here because they're kind of in the way for what I need you guys to see. Okay, so there's our basic shape. We need to trim away 1 more line right there. Now we need to create rounded edges here. If you look at the plan, it says they're rounded at 0.063, so roughly it's 1/16 of an inch. They just don't want to put all those decimal places in there, so that's how we do it. And this is a sketch fillet. So we'll go up here to our sketch fillet. Let's zoom in. We'll choose this line, 0.0625. Enter. We have a gap right there. That's not good. Okay, that gap is fixed. May need to redo that sketch fillet. No, I don't. But I can trim that line away because it's in the way. I'll pan over to this one here. And the same sketch fillet gets applied to this side here. Again, it looks like we have an extra line there, which I can trim away. Okay. And truth be known, the wheel, the basic structure of it, is done. We'll click on Finish Sketch. Oh, we have to edit that sketch. I knew the bottom line was missing. If ever you see a mistake in a sketch like this, all I have to go is over here to our browser panel, click Sketches, select the sketch in question, and then click Edit Sketch. For some reason, there's no line at the bottom, which is not a big deal. It's not like we can't draw one in there. Finish sketch. Okay. So now we'll go to Revolve. First thing they want to know is our axis. The axis revolving around is that, and the profile is the wheel, and then we now have a wheel. Okay. Go to top view. Let's zoom out a little bit. I'm going to draw, actually I'm going to go to the bottom view because I want to do the holes in the wheel back here. It's a little easier this way. And on this surface, we're going to create a new sketch. Now, if you look at the plans, you'll see that we have two radius measurements for the hole, or for the holes in the wheel. An outer one at 0.37 inches and our inner one at 0.37 and outer one at 0.63. We can do this by making circles, but we have to double that radius measurement each time. So our first one is going to be 0.37 times 2. Second one, 0.63 times 2. Times 2. Then we'll go to our line tool. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to get rid of these measurements because they're going to be in the way for what I need to demonstrate here. So we'll go to the line tool. We want to draw a line going out from the center to the edge of the outer circle. So it's 0.63. We know that measurement, but we want to do a tab and then type in. It's going to be drawn at a 15-degree angle. We'll draw a second line. Again, going from the center to the outer circle, and this time it's going to be at a 45-degree angle. That shape right there that we just made, that's going to be all we want to keep. So I'm going to trim away pretty much everything else except that. Give me a guideline, which I don't need. Okay. So all we need is that shape. Then we need to create a point right at the center of the circle. What we're going to do is we're going to create a circular pattern of that shape so we can extrude it all the way through the wheel. Right at dead center. Click the drop down under create, we want to go to circular pattern. The object we want to draw is going to be this. We'll select the 4 lines. Center point, we just put it there. Now it's set for 3, we need to change it to 6. And we got it. Click OK, that sketch is all done. Go and look at a slight angle because what we need to do next is we need to cut these 6 holes out. So we'll finish our sketch, go to Extrude, hold down the Shift key and select all of them. Push through, and for extent type distance we want to choose all. We just want to cut through. As long as we get the extrusion point the right way and then say all, it's going to cut right through them all. Click OK, and we now have holes in the wheel. Depending on how you're doing this project, right now saving it's not a bad idea because if ever you need to build something that doesn't need a drive wheel, your wheel's done. For our purposes though, I'll go ahead and make it just as a drive wheel. Okay. So now we're going to do a new sketch on this surface. First thing we need to do is put a construction line from the center that goes out 0.7 inches. So place it center, right at the axis, 0.7 inches. Where that line ends, we'll go ahead and place a circle that is 1/4 inch. The plans here get a little confusing, but the way it works essentially is you're going to have descending circles moving inward here. First one's 1/4 inch, second one's 1/8, and third one is 1/16. I'll place our 1/4 inch circle here. 2.5. Yes, you see the circle cuts in the rest of the wheel, and we have to account for that in a moment. And finish sketch. Now we need to extrude that section. So we'll click on Extrude. Click that section, hold down the Shift key, and grab the other section as well. It's going to be extruded out 0.25 inches. Sure, in the bottom there, the operation does not say cut. You want to call it a new body. Be sure it doesn't say cut. You should be fine. New body's working here, so we'll click OK. Back to our top surface. That new surface we just created, that's where our next sketch is going to be. On that one, we want to sketch at dead center for an 1/8 inch circle. Finish sketch. Again, this 1/8 inch circle now gets extruded 1/8 of an inch. The third one breaks from this one because there's a hole in it. We'll work on that in a moment. Create sketch. Center of this one, we're going to create a 1/16 inch hole. You can type 0.0625 or you can do 1/16. Same size. Finish sketch. This one does not get extruded. This one gets drilled in 1/4 of an inch. So we're going to choose that circle, extrude, change it to cut. I'll go inward, so it's negative 0.25. And the wheel is done. Now we'll go ahead and make a new sketch on a different plane. Maybe I'll go over here and do it on the left-hand plane. Now we'll start work on the cow catcher. For the cow catcher, we're going to use the mirror tool quite a bit. It's a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, you realize it will save labor and make things a little easier. So the first thing we'll do for the cow catcher is create a line, draw a line that is 0.9 inches long. Horizontal line. So we'll start down here, 0.9. At the end of that line, we'll draw a line going straight up, a vertical line that's 0.25 inches. On the other side of that horizontal line, we'll draw a construction line that goes up 1 inch. Finish that shape by drawing a line that connects those 2 points. This is actually the basic shape of the cow catcher, namely the bottom of the cow catcher. To finish it up, we'll then go under Create and choose Mirror. I like you to go down to the mirror line first. So we'll select that construction line as the mirror line. Then under Object, we'll select the 3 lines that we made. And you'll see them all pop right into place. And from there, we can click Finish Sketch. We don't need to worry about erasing the construction line. Okay. Now on that first part of the cow catcher, we're then going to create a new plane 3/4 of an inch away. So we want to offset a plane from here, 0.75 inches. And that new plane is where you're going to make your new sketch. For this to work though, the bottom of the 2 shapes have to be the same. They have to both be on the same line. That's what I mean. So we'll go ahead and draw a line At the center of that shape, you see the square pops up. We know exactly where we need to be. Make it cross 0.6 inches. At the end of that line, we'll again make a line coming up 1/4 inch. And then at the other side of that horizontal line, we'll again make a construction line that comes up 3/4 of an inch. Then go back and make a regular line that closes that shape. Just as we did before, we're going to go ahead and mirror it. Mirror. Select the mirror line in the center, and then select the 3 lines we have to mirror. And that's all done. Click Finish Sketch. I've got some questions in class about leaving the construction lines there. That's not a big deal. They end up being what's called consumed once you do a loft, extrusion, whatever. They were just there as guidelines. They're going to be gone once they're consumed. Now we need to create a loft between these 2 shapes. Loft, choose one shape, choose the other. Done. That easy. We'll go ahead to the bottom of our cow catcher now. If you look at the plans carefully, you'll see this one's a little different, namely that it's hollow. None of the other shapes were. So we need to hollow out the bottom here. And if you look carefully at the top right-hand picture on the plans, you'll notice that it says a thickness of the cow catcher of 1/10 of an inch. So under Modify, we'll choose the Shell command. We'll choose that surface. The inside thickness is going to be 0.1. All set. Now we need to do the indentation on the 2 front edges of the cow catcher. This is a lot easier in this software than it has been in other ones because you can draw directly on there. So and choose that one of the surfaces, create sketch. What we want to do first is go ahead and select the 4 outside edges. Hold down the Shift key to make sure they're all selected at once. Then under Modify, you'll see we have these 2 C's on top of each other. That is the offset tool. So we'll select that, and it wants to do an outside offset. If we look at our plans, we see the offset actually needs to be inside, so we need to do negative 0.1. That's where the offset should be. Finish sketch. And then we'll extrude that inward. Negative 0.05 inches. You do the math quickly, you realize that's half of the shell. And we got to repeat this process right over here. Create sketch. Okay, so we'll hold down the Shift key. We'll grab those 4 edges. We'll again choose offset. Offset at negative 1/10. Finish that sketch and then extrude it. Negative 0.05. Now that's all set. Last thing we have to do is the back side and put those little pins in so we can attach to the body of the tray. So we'll choose the back side of it and make a new sketch. Put it at that angle. I don't want that angle. I'm going to turn it so it goes this way. At the center point, we need to put 2 construction lines. One that goes up 1/2 inch. There's our center. And one that goes up 1/8 of an inch. So one line goes up 0.5, one line goes up 0.125. Where that second construction line ends, that's that shorter one, we want a line that goes 5/8 of an inch or 0.625 over to one side or the other. Doesn't matter which. You'll see in the moment why. much too short. To get that fixed, it's actually 0.625. Where those lines, the two longer construction lines end, we need to put 1/8 inch diameter circles, not construction lines though. One, and here's the other. We need 3 tabs, so you might already be guessing, we're going to mirror that circle. Create mirror. Around this line, we need to mirror that shape. Oh. Okay. Finish sketch. Those 3 circles all get extruded out 1/8 of an inch. Last thing to do is to add an angled edge to it. And the angled edge, the proper name for it is a chamfer. Fillet is rounding, chamfer is more of an angled edge. So we want to select all 3 of the edges first. It's a lot easier if they're all selected before we get to the next step. And up here to modify, click the drop down and choose chamfer. Now we don't have equal distance, we don't have 2 distances, so we'll click the drop down on our type and choose distance and angle. We have an angle of 45 degrees and a distance of 0.01 inches. And that's it. And those 2 parts are done.